Okay, right into it. Personification of death. This is part 2. Watch part 1 first. Okay. Personification of death. The house is going to be in the parade building, and they're actually going to take some of the Mardi Gras floats out of there and use them somewhere else to open up more space and make the largest house they've ever had in the parade building. It's going to be called the Red Death, and it will be based very closely on Edgar Allan Poe's classic tale, The Masque of the Red Death. And what they're planning is hugely ambitious. They're going to create an Italian palace from like the 15th century inside the house, when they're going to have huge, tall, cathedral ceilings. Most houses don't even have ceilings. Now they're going to have this huge stuff that really make you feel like you're in this beautiful palace. It's just absolutely beautiful. I saw the designs. I can't believe they're going to be so ambitious as to try to do this. And inside the story, it's going to follow the story where Prince Prospero and his cronies in the nobility have walled themselves off inside their palace and have this very decadent and debased party while outside everyone's dying of the plague. And they brought in some peasants, and they're going to abuse and torture them in horrible, perverted ways while you see all this going on. And they want to attack you as well, of course. And then this strange spectral figure will be appearing from time to time, horrifying everybody, including you, in this black cloak. And eventually, as you go through all the different colored rooms, just like in the story, you'll get to the black room, where everything is draped in black cloth, and this figure will reveal itself as the Red Death, and it'll destroy everybody, and everyone will die of the plague horribly, just like, recreating the whole story and plot line of the Red Death. So that's that house. All right, this next house is going to piss a lot of you off, and I'm sorry, but we were all told last year, new era of darkness, and the old icons, Jack, caretaker, director, storyteller, usher, never seen again. They're done with, right? That's what we all expected. That's what A&D intended. But they got called up from corporate. They interfered again, and they said, look, we all know that you don't want to use the clown anymore, and we all know that those internet geeks who go online and post and always blogging about, oh, they don't want to use Jack, he's been done too much, get rid of the fucking clown, all of that. But those guys, and when you like them because they're your big fans and all that, and your VIP room and shit, but those guys are like 1% or less of the people who go to Halloween Horror Nights every year and pay their money to see the shows and shit. And most people, 99% of your average public who go to Halloween Horror Nights, doesn't give a flying fuck about the backstory of some icon or all of this crap you have online. No, they just want to have a good time at Halloween. And they know one thing that they always recognize, the brand for the event is the clown. If you get rid of the clown, they get pissed off. Every year you don't have the clown, we see in the surveys, where's Jack? How come there's no Jack this year? Every year he's there, we say, what did you like? Oh, gee, you like Jack. We thought he was scary. They like the frickin' clown. It's just like Jack in the Box. Remember? Back in the 80s, they thought, oh, well, McDonald's has a clown, and that's for kids and Happy Meals. We're going to make ourselves adult and get the teenagers and people who think that's silly. And so we're going to get rid of the clown. They actually blew up the clown in their commercials and said, no more clown. And you know what? All their sales went in the damn toilet. It wasn't until they brought the clown back that they started competing again. It didn't matter how good their burgers tasted. People wanted to see the damn clown. Same thing here. People want the frickin' clown. Bring the clown back. And so TJ and Mike and all the people who had heard this from corporate, like, fuck, we don't want to bring the clown back. And they went back and forth, and finally they had to compromise. So, okay, we'll bring the clown back, but can we at least change him up and make him more extreme and intense for this event? Not the same clown we've seen before. And corporate liked the idea, so that's what they're going to do. The house will be called Circle of Chaos, Jack's Back. And it will be in Soundstage 25, another one that hadn't been used a lot before. Also, about the same size as Soundstage 24 and bigger than Soundstage 23. Big, so they'll have a huge house in there as well. And the idea is that this is going to be a circus where Jack has slaughtered all of the performers and all the people watching the circus that night. And you go through this circus tents where you'll find dead bodies of acrobats and ringmaster and all of the circus performers and the guests all slaughtered, and Jack is going to appear and harass and attack you throughout the house, and it's going to be incredible and intense. Now, I don't know how they're going to fucking pull this off. In fact, I think they're not going to pull this off. But apparently, there's been some corporate espionage. They have heard from their spies that over in Tampa at Busch Gardens, that they have been planning to somehow incorporate one of their wild animal exhibits into a haunted house at Howl-O-Scream, maybe as early as 2012 or maybe 2013. And they said, you want to beat them to the punch. And what they are planning is to get a real live African lion and put him in the house with the guests. Again, I said, you can't fucking do that. But this is what they're planning. And what they want to do is use an invisible fence that they have for dogs and put the collar on the beast. And so you'll be in the same room with the lion with no barricade whatsoever, but it won't be able to get you. It'll growl and snarl, but it won't actually be able to get you because the collar will keep it from going past the electronic fence line. I think that this will not happen. I think that it won't work, and they'll have to stop it because they just can't do that. You know, people for the ethical treatment of animals will complain and everything. But this is what they're currently planning. And they actually have an idea of having a mannequin that looks like a dead lion tamer like Siegfried and Roy, and put real pieces of meat inside of it so the lion will rip it open and chew and eat the flesh while you're watching. Cool idea, but I don't see how it can work. But that's not the most intense and fucked up thing about the house. No, it's more than that. They're going to have people going through the queue. Remember the helmet houses they had back for some of the haunted houses a few years ago? They had those helmets. They're going to go through the queue line, and every 10th guest or so, they're going to come up. They're going to choose guys, especially muscular young guys, and they're going to go up to them and have them say, "Hey, you want to participate in a scene in the house? And if you do, you have to sign this waiver, so in case there's any injury." And those guys who are brave enough to sign that waiver, they're the ones when they get to the climactic scene. And like I said, it's a huge house. They're going to go into a huge arena, a big ring, and in the ring will be a cage with barbed wire, and inside the cage will be Jack. And the people who signed the waiver are going to be taken into the cage one at a time to fight Jack. And now I said they're going to change Jack up and make him more intense and extreme. This is how he's going to look. He's still going to have the same face and hair that recognizable as Jack, but the rest of him from the neck down will be completely different, because what they're going to do is not hire regular characters. They're going to hire Ultimate Fighter mixed martial artists to play Jack, wearing nothing but a little pair of clown-colored shorts, bare-chested, bare legs, barefoot, with sick tattoos all over their body. Most of them already have sick tattoos. They just have to put on a few fake ones over that. And they will actually fight those guys. Now the smart guys are going to submit right away, and they'll only get shoved around a little bit. But those who want to push it, I can take this fucking clown, those guys are going to come out of that ring with black eyes and bloody noses and other injuries. And they can't do a damn thing about it because they signed the frickin' waiver. Again, that blows my mind. Alright. Next house, again, unbelievable. You've heard the rumor that they're going to somehow dress up the Jaws ride for Halloween. That rumor's been going around. It is also true, but it's only the tip of the iceberg. Later this month, they will be closing down the Jaws ride for the duration of the summer and start working on a house that will not be just in that one part of the queue area they've been using for the past few years, but the entire Jaws queue area, complete, as well as the ride attraction itself. And they're going to transform Amity into Innsmouth for a Lovecraftian house called Cthulhu Rises. And you go in there and you'll be stalked and attacked by people going through various transitions into the Fishmen Deep Ones. Ranging from those with just a few changes to those who've truly mutated. And they will pursue you relentlessly from room to room trying to kill you. And while you're trying to get the hell away from these guys, you're going to go outside, you think you're exiting, but you won't be. You'll be in the back, in that graveyard by the church. The church will be turned into the temple of Dagon, a blasphemous place where they'll be having human sacrifices, and out of the graves will come these deep ones and zombies to attack you, and you have to go back inside, and you'll go through more rooms where you're being harassed by these people and cultists until you come to the dock, where finally a normal human will be there to save you. It'll be the skipper of the boat saying, "Quick, quick, get in the boat! Get in the boat before they kill you!" And you get in the boat with him, and the boat will start going through the water. Now, all of the sharks will be inoperable. They'll all remain under the water submerged, and they'll have fog over the water so you can't see the sharks. So it'll just be like a boat going through Innsmouth Harbor while the deep ones are on the shoreline trying to get at the boat. And you're saying, "Oh God, let's get out of here." You go into the boathouse, they'll be in the boathouse, and they'll jump onto the fucking boat to attack you, and the skipper will pull out a gun, a shotgun, and shoot them, and they'll fly off the boat into the water. Amazing. Then, when you exit the boathouse, this is the awesome capper in that big wide area. For the past 4 years, they have been working on this. They have taken an old King Kong armature from Confrontation, and they put new flesh over it and created a gigantic animatronic Cthulhu. And it is going to be under the water when the boat comes out, and then it's going to rise up with the tentacles all writhing, and wings will spread out enormously, and it'll reach out and come over the boat to grab you. And as it reaches just about to grab the boat will slip out from under it and get to the dock and escape. And you'll get out of the boat and exit the house while you're being pursued by more cultists chasing you out. Awesome. Okay, now, the 2 houses in the sprung tents will be the only normal-sized houses this year, but they are going to be so intense and controversial that you won't even notice that. The first one, remember Emmerich Belasco? He's been tweeting a bunch of stuff lately, which are supposedly veiled clues about the event, and one of them was a quote from the Marquis de Sade, and I even joked, "Ha, they can't do that, that's incredible." But they are. I was wrong. It's going to be the most twisted, horrific, and frankly pornographic book the Marquis de Sade ever wrote, adapted into a haunted house. 120 Days of Sodom. And it's all going to be made to look like a medieval castle. It'll be a huge facade of a medieval castle. And when you go into the house, there'll be these 3 degenerate, debauched, libertine noblemen who have taken a bunch of young boys and girls from the villages into this castle to torture and abuse and violate them in the most horrific and perverted ways possible before they're ultimately killed. And you're going to see all this happening around you just like in the book. And it's going to be highly controversial, I'm sure, but nowhere near as controversial as the house in Sprung Tent 2. That house will simply be called the Church of Satan. That's right. The Church of Satan. They've actually contacted the real Church of Satan in San Francisco. And they've signed a contract with the woman who runs the church now. Her name is Blanche Barton, the high priestess of the Church of Satan. She's the widow, or actually the common law widow, if such a thing exists, of Anton LaVey, the notorious founder of that church, who died many years ago. And her son, who's now 18 years old, Satan Xerxes LaVey, the crown prince of hell, I guess, or the Antichrist, I don't know. They're both going to actually be there, along with other warlocks and witches from the Church of Satan, and they will perform actual satanic rituals in the house, along scenes of depravity and horror and mutilation and violence and perversion and human sacrifice and God knows what else. In that house. I'm sure there are going to be protests, church groups will be complaining, politicians will condemn it. It'll be the most controversial house ever created, I imagine. I can only think that Universal actually is courting and wants controversy to publicize the event this year, because I can't figure out why they would do it otherwise. All right. Now the last house. This is really exciting. Nobody knows this yet. It has not been announced, but April 15th, in a couple of weeks, will be the very final performance ever of the Blue Man Group. And on the night, after that show that night, they're going to gut Soundstage 19 and start building this house. Now, Soundstage 19 is the largest soundstage at Universal Studios. The house will be 4 times larger than any previous haunted house ever created. Enormous. And this house will be the extreme house that had been rumored for the past 7 years. Finally done. It's going to be called simply Extreme in explicit, intense fear. And it will feature the 3 icons as well. Now, when you go into the queue line for this house, there will be a fake queue line, a fake exit of people coming out. Characters dressed and acting as if they were guests coming out in states of shock and mental derangement. And some of them will have grievous bodily harm and clothes ripped up and blood. And some of them will, well, I'm now running out of time again. It will have to be part 3. Damn.